Kids are growing up and have little ones of their own doesn't mean family life slows down. I'm busier than ever. Now that I'm in my 60s, I want to make sure that my family has enough to cover my funeral costs and other expenses when I'm no longer around. That's why I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one, and you're covered for the whole of your life. Plus, unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Learning more couldn't be simpler. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either.
Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To get a free life insurance quote, call our friendly UK team on 0800 542 1545 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op Funeral Care, we offer a choice of funerals including direct cremation. We're right by you when you need us. Search online, call us or visit your local funeral home.
Hello and welcome to this Wednesday edition of the World Report. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. On US sanctioning 50% tariff on India, Roman Babushkin, chargé d'affaires of the Russian embassy in India, has moments ago, in fact, said, and I'm quoting him here, if Indian goods are facing difficulties entering the US market, the Russian market is welcoming Indian exports. Listen in.
Tariffs adventures
वो भी
against
विशाल का है
India
ना इस पे?
to impact on the Russia-India trade relations. Moreover, we will find the ways out, and if the Indian goods are facing some barriers in other countries, the Russian market will welcome them.
My colleague Vishal Vivek, in fact, joins us for more on this. Vishal, a big statement, in fact, coming there from the chargé d'affaires of the Russian embassy in India, especially after the pivotal meeting that Trump and Putin had over the weekend in Alaska, which was followed by Trump meeting Zelensky and European leaders. In fact, he reiterated multiple times that it is only because of levying sanctions on India that Russia was on the negotiating table to begin with. Big statement coming in. Vishal, what are you picking up?
So this is a big moment as far as these trilateral, tit for tats are concerned, because Russia has just, as you mentioned rightly, backed India in this whole tariff war that US started a few months ago, and it has clearly slammed those secondary sanctions that were, set to be levied on August 27th. That they were announced about 2 weeks ago. Additional sanctions above those 25% tariffs that were announced about a month ago. So in this whole brouhaha, the Russian envoy has gone on to say that secondary sanctions reflect USA's double standards, and this is also a disrespect of national interest. They've also gone on to say that these secondary sanctions are illegal, and that Russia would never impose these sanctions on BRICS nations. And they've gone on to add that despite tremendous sanctions pressure, Russian economy has thrived, which is correct, because even though Russia has been involved in this 3-year-old war, more than 3 years actually, but the Russian economy has only been progressing. It has propped up in the last 1 year or so. It seems surprising, but that indeed is the case. A lot of jobs have opened up in Russia because of its war economy. So that has happened, and Russia is playing on that and saying that it is USA's double standards that it's asking other countries to pay such high tariffs.
Russia clearly throwing down the gauntlet there to Washington. Vishal, thank you so much for putting all these developments in perspective for our viewers. Meanwhile, India's chargé d'affaires at the United Nations on Tuesday highlighted the sexual violence perpetrated by Pakistan ever since 1971 in East Pakistan at that time. Now, while delivering India's statement at the UN Security Council's open debate on conflict-related sexual violence, the Indian representative said that sexual crimes against women from minority communities in Pakistan continue even today, which is deplorable. Listen in.
I would like to briefly address the baseless allegation raised by the delegate of Pakistan. The utter impunity with which Pakistan Army perpetrated heinous crimes of gross sexual violence against hundreds of thousands of women in erstwhile East Pakistan in 1971 is a matter of shameful record. This deplorable pattern continues unabated and with impunity to this day. Rampant abduction, trafficking, child early and forced marriages and domestic servitude, sexual violence and forced religious conversions of thousands of vulnerable women and girls as weapons of persecution towards religious and ethnic minority communities are reported and chronicled, including in the recent OHCHR reports. These reports highlight that the vile acts by Pakistan are also validated by its judiciary. It is ironical that those who perpetrate these crimes are now masquerading as champions of justice.
Now we shift our focus to other international stories where the Kremlin has in fact played down talk of an imminent summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. Now this comes as Donald Trump renewed his call for the two leaders to in fact discuss ending the grinding war in Ukraine, which has, of course, as all we know, been going on for more than 3 years now. Now, the push for a bilateral meeting, in fact, comes after the US president met Putin in Alaska last week and welcomed 7 European leaders and Zelensky to the White House only this Monday. Trump admitted the conflict was, quote-unquote, a tough one to solve and conceded it was possible the Russian president was not even interested in ending hostilities. The Russian president on Monday, in fact, told Trump he was open to the idea of direct talks with Ukraine. But the next day, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov watered down that already vague commitment given to Trump. Meanwhile, listen in to the US president's reaction, followed by the latest remarks from the White House.
It was just a no-no. It was something that was never going to happen. So they asked for it, and they shouldn't have asked for it because it was, very insulting thing. Now, they could have asked for many other things. But the other thing they wanted to do is getting Crimea back, and, that was given. They had built, they were expanding everything and spending a lot of money, all because Barack Hussein Obama gave it away in one of the dumbest real estate deals I've ever seen.
But Mr. President, you got the Article 5 protections, though, for Ukraine. So they're not going to be a part of NATO, but you still got them the same protections.
So they're not going to be a part of NATO, but we've got the European nations, and they'll front-load it, and they'll have some of them, France and Germany, a couple of them, UK. They want to have, boots on the ground. I don't think it's going to be a problem, to be honest with you. I think Putin is tired of it. I think they're all tired of it, but you never know. We're going to find out about President Putin in the next couple of weeks, that I can tell you. And we're going to see where it all goes. It's possible that he doesn't want to make a deal.
What kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and, past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that border?
Well, you have my assurance, I'm president, and I'm just trying to stop people from being killed, Charlie. Look, they're losing from 5,000 to 7,000 people a week in that ridiculous war that should have never happened.
The Kremlin seemed to indicate that Putin did not firmly agree to a bilateral. Did he agree to have a sit-down with just Zelensky on the phone?
I can assure you that the United States government and the Trump administration is working with both Russia and Ukraine to make that bilateral happen as we speak.
I understand that the White House is working and allies are working to make this meeting happen, but did Putin promise to do a meeting with Zelensky, a direct meeting, in the coming weeks?
He has, and I just answered that question for you. Franco.
Taking the first big steps to reset the entire trajectory of bilateral relations, India and China have decided to work on a settlement of the boundary question, and an expert group will be set up, in fact, to explore an early solution to boundary delimitation. After PM Modi, External Affairs Minister and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. The Ministry of External Affairs issued a statement on Tuesday, and it said that the two sides have decided to resume direct flights at the earliest and increase the scale of Indian pilgrimage to Mount Kailash and Lake Mansarovar as well. Now, PM Modi will attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in China, and the two sides also agreed to the reopening of border trade through the three designated trading points.
Mr. Doval, I'm very pleased to meet you again in New Delhi for this round of talks between the special representatives of China and India on the boundary question. The setbacks we experienced in the past few years were not in the interests of the people of our two countries. And then in October last year, President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi had an important meeting in Kazan. That meeting pointed the direction for the development of our bilateral relations and provided impetus for the proper settlement of the boundary question.
External Affairs Minister Jaishankar began a three-day visit to Russia on Monday, marking the second high-profile diplomatic engagement between the two nations, following National Security Advisor Ajit Doval's trip to Moscow only 2 weeks ago. Now, these visits, viewers, are intended to lay the groundwork for the upcoming annual Leaders Summit, which will feature Russian President Vladimir Putin traveling to India for talks with PM Modi. Now, the aim is to provide a renewed push to the long-standing bilateral relationship. Jaishankar is visiting at the invitation of Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister, Denis Manturov, and is also likely to, in fact, call on President Putin. Now, a key topic on India's agenda is its continued procurement of energy from Russia. New Delhi is exploring the possibility of securing crude oil supplies at even lower rates. The union government has cleared a rupees 62,000 crore deal on Tuesday to buy 97 light combat aircraft Mark 1A fighter jets for the Indian Air Force. Now, this will be in addition to the already ordered 83 LCA Mark 1A fighters by the government earlier. The first order, for perspective, was worth rupees 48,000 crore. My colleague Vishnu Shom gets you more on this. We shift our focus to West Asia, where more than 1,800 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza while attempting to obtain humanitarian aid since US and Israel-backed private organization Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that is, was launched. United Nations human rights official has said this in Geneva. The UN official further noted, in fact, that Israel continues to issue evacuation orders to Palestinians, forcing them to move to the Al-Mawasi area, which itself, by the way, has come under Israeli bombardment. Displaced people there face extreme shortage with almost no access to even basic services or supplies. Listen in.
Since the 27th of May and up until the 17th of August, we have documented that 1,857 Palestinians were killed while seeking food, including 1,021 killed in the vicinity of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites and 836 killed on the routes of supply trucks. Most of these killings appear to have been committed by the Israeli military.
We should have focused to Washington, where Donald Trump said Tuesday that a Ukraine peace deal could boost his chances of getting to heaven. Now, he joked that his odds of making it through the pearly gates are currently low. And by the way, this comment comes at a time when his approval ratings, in fact, viewers, are at the lowest at around 40%. Now, the 78-year-old US president has previously said he wants to end Russia's war in Ukraine as part of his bid to also win the Nobel Peace Prize. But only a day after hosting the leaders of Ukraine and several European nations, to be precise, 7 European nations at the White House, Trump said his motivations were not all earthy. Here's POTUS for you.
If I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's a pretty... I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons.
A passenger bus carrying migrants recently returned from Iran has collided with a truck and a motorcycle in western Afghanistan, killing at least 71 people on board. Now, the accident occurred late on Tuesday in the Herat province Among the people killed were at least 17 children. Over in the US, the Menendez brothers, or should I say the infamous Menendez brothers, viewers, are set to make their cases for parole starting Thursday. Now, this marks the closest they've been to, in fact, winning freedom from the prison since their convictions almost 3 decades or 30 years ago for murdering their own parents. Eric and Lyle Menendez were sentenced in 1996 to life in prison for fatally shooting their father, Jose Menendez, and mother, Kitty Menendez, in their Beverly Hills, uptown Beverly Hills mansion in 1989. Now, the convicts were 18 and 21 at the time, while defense attorneys argued that the brothers acted out of self-defense after years of sexual abuse by their father. Prosecutors claimed the brothers killed their parents for the multi-million-dollar inheritance. We get you more.
They will be considered individually and have their hearings through video conference, with the board assessing whether the brothers pose an unreasonable risk of danger to society, if released, considering factors like criminal history, motivation for the crime and signs of remorse, behavior while in prison, and plans for the future. If the parole board decides they should be released, the decision has to be reviewed by their chief legal counsel within 120 days. Then, California Governor Gavin Newsom has the final say and has 30 days to grant or deny them parole.
Congressional lawmakers will get their hands on a first tranche of Epstein files in the coming few days. The House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, in a statement Monday, said the Justice Department would in fact start to turn over Jeffrey Epstein-related materials this Friday. Now, it's less than 2 weeks after the Kentucky Republican transmitted a subpoena to the agency to demand access to documents connected to the deceased financier and convicted sex offender. Up north, Canada's Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has won a closely watched by-election in the province of Alberta. Now, this gives him a chance to return to the parliament after suffering a shock defeat in April's federal election. Poilievre finished with 80.4% of the votes after Monday's election in the riding of Battle River Crowfoot in the deeply conservative Western province. Veterans from the United States' 20-year involvement in Afghanistan are telling the commission reviewing decisions that shaped that war that it was indeed hell, but also confounding, demoralizing, even humiliating at times for them. Now, the bipartisan Afghanistan War Commission is aiming to reflect veterans' experiences in a report. Now, this is due to be given to Congress next year. We get you more.
We're an independent legislative commission appointed by a series of different committees, House and Senate, to examine the 20 years of U.S. engagement from 9/11 through the withdrawal in August 21 in sort of all of its dimensions.
Scientists expect Kilauea volcano to again gush lava in the coming days for the 31st time since December, as the mountain lives up to its identity as being one of the world's most active volcanoes. A few lucky residents, meanwhile, and visitors along with them will have a front row view at the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Hundreds of thousands, in fact, more will be watching popular live streams made possible by 3 camera angles specially set up by the U.S. Geological Survey. Scientists, meanwhile, say magma has been using the same pathway to get to the surface since December, making the initial release and subsequent episodes all part of the same eruption. Listen in.
It's a great question as to how long this eruption is going to last. I have gone back and forth. I've said, well, this is going to die out. And I've also said, this is going to be the eruption for the rest of my life. So somewhere in between those two things is probably where the answer lies. But right now, and I think this is the fascinating part of what's happening up there in terms of the dynamics.
It's time we step into a short break. Much more on the other side.
You can count on Staysure, the UK's favourite travel insurance provider. We specialise in cover for over 50s with pre-existing medical conditions. And there's no age limit. Whether you're planning an epic, once-in-a-lifetime adventure or revisiting your favourite holiday spot one more time, we offer cover for single or multiple trips throughout the year. Stay Sure Travel Insurance, the UK's favourite. Get your quote online or give us a call today. Sale now on.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money,
am I going to lose my job?
Getting on with life,
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
or just need someone to listen.
How do I tell them?
Our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
Welcome back. You're watching this Wednesday edition of the World Report, and we shift our focus to the world of business now. Viewers, bear with the traditional peak season of September and October for auto sales approaching. Many automakers, including Tesla and the likes of even Audi, are moving early by launching new models or opening pre-sales in Shanghai, aiming to secure a head start. Now, take Tesla, for example. It selected Shanghai as the stage for the global debut of all of its new model YL. Listen in.
The start of a new era, because it's our first EV that has really been developed in China for China, based on the concept of the best of both worlds. And for sure, we want to make now the E5 Sportback a big success, but it's only the starting point. And there will be further models released. There will be upper class SUV be released, and then there will be an upper class sedan-like car released, and further models are under development.
NVIDIA is developing a new AI chip for China based on its latest Blackwell architecture that will be more powerful even than the H2O model that it currently allows to sell there, according to reports. US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, last week opened the door to the possibility of more advanced NVIDIA chips being sold in China. However, reports noted that US regulatory approval is still far from guaranteed, and deep-seated fears in Washington about giving China too much access to US artificial intelligence technology. China's Pop Mart, which has taken the world by storm with its ugly, cute Labubu doll, or the Labubu frenzy, if I may, reported a nearly 400% first-half earnings on the 19th of August on high demand for the toys and also a shift towards higher margin overseas markets. Now, shares in Pop Mart have risen more than 200% year-to-date, making the Chinese toy company more valuable than traditional industry giants such as Barbie maker Mattel and Hello Kitty parent Sanrio. Viewers, India is building its tallest and most powerful rocket yet. It's nicknamed Surya. It stands tall at 92 meters, even surpassing the Qutub Minar, and also promises heavy lift capability, reusability, and most of all, green fuel. It's designed for future space station missions. The next generation launch vehicle also marks a bold leap in ISRO's space ambitions. NDTV science editor Pallav Bagla reports from New Delhi.
India is getting ready for making its next generation launch vehicle, and there is now a name for it, Surya. The Surya rocket is going to be 92 meters tall, which means it is 20 meters taller than the Qutub Minar, which stands at 72 meters. So an Indian rocket taller than the Qutub Minar and with very heavy lift capability. It is made so that it can carry very heavy satellites into space, and ideally to be used for the making of India's space station, or the Bharatiya Antariksh Station. It is powered by many, many engines, and ISRO says in the first stage, the engines will be made so that they will be retrieved and reused. Till date, India does not have reuse capability of its rockets. So Surya will also give reuse capability for India's rockets, and will also be able to launch heavy satellites into space. Surya rocket, ISRO says, will be a game changer. It uses new fuel, it uses new technology, and ISRO says once they get approval, they will launch it in less than 8 years. India's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle and India's Bahubali rocket, the launch vehicle Mark III, have made ISRO and India proud. And now the next generation launch vehicle, Surya, getting ready. With camera person Xavier Thomas in New Delhi, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.
Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz and Darren Aronofsky premiered their film Caught Stealing in London on Tuesday evening. Now, directed by Aronofsky, the movie is based on a novel by Charlie Huston, who also in fact wrote this screenplay. It's set in the late 1990s and follows Butler's character, Hank, who gets entangled in the criminal underworld in New York after he's asked to look after his neighbor's cat. Butler and Kravitz both said they jumped at the chance at appearing in the Aronofsky film. We get you.
The Puerto Rican. The secret of playing a drunk scene, a lot of practice. It's like feeling very loose, feeling free, thinking you're a lot more fun than you actually are, maybe.
I think it's a combination of spending time together and rehearsing a lot, and then also being really specific about the characters. You know, I think it was really interesting that Darren, he was very specific about these being two people that were in this kind of gray area, and I think that's something we don't see a lot on camera, you know.
And that's all we have for you this Thursday. Take care and have a wonderful day.
It's great to be helping out before my first grandchild arrives, and after having a few repairs myself, I need to make sure they'll all be protected. Which reminds me, there's more than one way to help protect my family.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
You've come to the right place. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee, with 100% of claims having been paid. We guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK.
Wow, that's great to hear.
Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000. And the cover is in place for your whole life.
And what's the application like?
It couldn't be easier to apply. If you're a UK resident aged 50 to 80, you're guaranteed to be accepted, and you can arrange everything in a matter of minutes. There are no medicals or blood tests. Prices start from just £4.52 a month for £1,000 of cover.
Wow, that money could help with funeral costs or as a gift for my grandkid. I'll do it.
As the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance, we're proud to protect thousands of families across the UK. We're rated excellent by Trustpilot and also rated platinum by FIFO. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
He's going to be named after his granddad.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our UK team on 0800 781 0770 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
Dealing with my lot means making smart choices and trying to find the time to plan ahead. And with our family growing, I want to protect the life we've built.
Welcome to Smart Insurance. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
You can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000 depending on your age. And you can personalise your policy with optional critical illness and children's cover.
Brilliant.
If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And could help my husband pay off the mortgage.
Just like families, not all life insurance is the same. That's why we offer the Smart Family Guarantee. We guarantee a straightforward application process, award-winning service you can trust, and cover from day one. And it's easy to arrange. You can get covered in just a matter of minutes.
That's good to know.
For even greater peace of mind, you'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cash back on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback.
Sounds great. I'll go ahead.
Our Smart Family Life Insurance is exclusive to us, and when you sign up, you'll get access to free health and wellbeing services. Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Looks like my lot have learned to plan ahead too.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free life insurance quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 6858 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 038 4926 and giving £1 a week to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 038 4926. Text C13 to 82727 or go online and give just £1 a week now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
Babes, how was roaming in Italy?
Oh, stunning. Didn't cost me a penny.
What, the new fella paid?
No, hun. Labara. No roaming fees.
Bet the signal was awful.
Full bars, hun.
Well, you get what you pay for.
Nah. Big mobile networks charge you more for what's really the same thing. You and the hubby need a better package, babe.
Labara, the smarter mobile network.
Think they can sort his package in Turkey?
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
You know, first, when
Thanks for staying with NDTV. It's a packed Wednesday here at India Global. I'm Arjun, Samar, Mahendran, and here are the headlines. Russia backs India in sanctions war, slams Trump's, underlines Indian exports are welcome. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar in Russia amid tariff tensions for key meets, is set to meet counterpart Lavrov on Thursday. No end to rising attacks on Indians in Ireland. 9-year-old boy assaulted in latest such incident. Massive breakthrough in India-China deadlock. China lifts curbs on rare earths. Direct flights to resume soon. India clears massive 62,000 crore deal for 97 Tejas fighter jets. HAL to produce indigenous LCA Mark 1A aircraft. And no Pakistan, no drama in Asia Cup. Pakistan and Oman replaced by Bangladesh, Kazakhstan in upcoming men's Asia Cup hockey. Viewers, we begin this Wednesday edition with a focus on Russia, where in a high-stakes diplomatic maneuver with global implications, Moscow and New Delhi, in fact, are now turning gears of strategic power. how they are doing so. Well, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in Moscow right now as we speak. He is co-chairing the 26th India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission, shaping the future of trade, technology and even science. It's a pivotal chapter in the special and privileged strategic partnership between the two global heavyweights. Meanwhile, the Ministry of External Affairs calls it a time-tested and strategically significant partnership. Also on the agenda, meanwhile, are crucial bilateral talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Thursday, following multiple recent high-level exchanges. And keep your eyes on the horizon, viewers. President Putin may also very well soon be visiting India, invited personally by PM Modi, mind you. Meanwhile, in the latest, the charge d'affaires of the Russian embassy in India has underlined that if Indian goods are facing difficulties entering the US market, the Russian market is welcoming Indian exports. Listen in. But before that, my colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for the latest on this. Vishal, trip coming amidst a very important time geopolitically, in terms of business. And this latest comment coming by the Russian charge d'affaires, what to make of this statement, especially in this politically tense situation?
Well, these are big statements coming from the Russian side. One of the top envoys from the Russian side has slammed Trump's secondary sanctions. So remember, these secondary sanctions were imposed. They're about to be imposed in a few days, August 27 to be precise, bringing the total tariffs on India to 50%. The original tariffs were 25%, so they will be shot up to 50% now, according to the US side. So the Russian side has condemned this and slammed this and said that these are double standards from the US side. And at the same time, Russia has also welcomed Indian exports to its shores and said that if India finds it difficult to enter the US for its exports, it can send the same exports to the US side. So this is a big statement coming from the Russian side. And the envoy has also gone on to say that these secondary sanctions reflect US's double standards, and also that it's a disrespect of national interest, and also slammed these secondary sanctions as illegal. They've also gone on to say that Russia will never impose these kind of sanctions on BRICS nations because remember, Russia is one of the strongest nations as far as the BRICS group is concerned. And despite tremendous sanctions, the Russian economy has also prevailed in the last 2-3 years. Experts have been surprised by the fact that how that has happened, but that indeed is the case, that Russian economy has propped up in the last 2 to 3 years. So that's what the Russian envoy has summed it up and said that US needs to be slammed on the international stage.
Well, Vishal, this you rightly pointed out, but this trip also has many other connotations. Of course, tariffs and the sanctions rather being the biggest or one of the biggest of them. But how does this work as a prelude to Putin's all-important planned visit to India later this year?
Well, these are some of the striking points in the last few months. Ever since this whole tariff war between US and India started, because ever since US started to levy these uncompromised tariffs on one side on India and some other Asian nations, these BRICS nations have solidified their groups, and we've seen many of these top leaders, be it Lula from the Brazilian side or Russian President Putin or even other leaders in the BRICS group. They've all been speaking to each other quite often. There have been several calls that Lula has, given to Prime Minister Modi, and at the same time, Russian President Putin has also spoken to Prime Minister Modi in the last 24 hours. So this group is solidifying as we speak. This seems to be in the wake of these tariffs that have been imposed across the globe, and the background to which, according to the US, is Russia's oil that have been exported to various shores such as India and China. So they are responding to that, and sorry about that, and they seem to be doing quite well.
Right. An all-important trip, as my colleague Vishal Vivek was pointing out there. And let's just play out that very important bite of the Russian charge d'affaires that only came in moments ago.
We don't see much negative impact from tariffs adventures against India to impact on the Russia-India trade relations. Moreover, we will find the ways out, and if the Indian goods are facing some barriers in other countries, the Russian market will welcome them.
Viewers, we now shift our focus to a brutal and heartbreaking story coming out of Ireland. A 9-year-old Indian origin boy was left bleeding and hospitalized after being stoned by a teenager in what his family calls a racist attack. Now, the boy was simply playing in his Cork neighborhood when a 15-year-old hurled stones at him. One struck his head deeply. He collapsed, was covered in blood. His family says it was no accident, it was hate, pure and simple. And it's not an isolated case, viewers. Now, only in recent weeks, in fact, within this month itself, a 22-year-old Indian man was assaulted with a knife. A 6-year-old girl was called dirty and was in fact told to go back to India. President Higgins has condemned the attacks, calling them despicable. But fear is rising. The Indian embassy, meanwhile, has also issued an urgent safety advisory. Community events are being cancelled. Parents are terrified. Meanwhile, authorities are saying extremist hate is spreading through social media and foreign calls. And now Indian lives, viewers, children's well-being are very well under threat. My colleague Disha Bagchi joins me for more on this story. Disha, could you give us a clearer picture of the atmosphere across the Indian community in Ireland? How are families reacting to this? And has there been any concrete response, so to say, from the government beyond just